What's going on, guys? It's your boy Thaddeus Brown with the Boys of Fall podcast. This isn't exactly how we imagined starting out things. We wanted to release the podcast first, but due to the whole coronavirus and quarantining going on, it's been a little challenging for Carson and I to record together. With that being said, we still wanted to give you all some content since the sports world is pretty dead right now. So I'll be starting a little short 2-part series breaking down each division's free agency winner, starting with the AFC. I'll try to update you when the official podcast will drop. You can follow me on Twitter at HotSeatThad. So again, I apologize for this little hectic start to it, but enough about this. Let's get in to see who won free agency this offseason.
'Cause there's nowhere in this world that I can take you. As the pillars of creation become red, all the stars who pass will only serenade you. In the starstream, no one gets that far ahead.
Starting in the AFC East, this may come as a surprise to people, but I have the Miami Dolphins. Now, I know what people are saying. Oh, they paid too much for him. Oh, they spent too much on him. That's free agency. That's what you do. That's how you get players to come to your franchise that isn't that good. I don't care if they paid Byron Jones, one of the richest deals in defensive back history. I don't care if they overpaid for Kyle Van Noy. They have a plan. Byron Jones is going to make a damn good duo with Xavier Howard, pending whatever happens to him and his legal troubles. Kyle Van Noy is a great linebacker. They signed Shaq Lawson and Emmanuel Ogbah to a pass rush that only had 23 sacks last year. That was dead last in the league. And you can go ahead and make fun of the Eric Flowers signings, but he wasn't that bad as a guard. In fact, he was pretty good. Now, if they move him back to tackle, then yeah, say a prayer for Tua or Justin Herbert or whoever they draft, because that's just an accident waiting to happen. They also signed running back Jordan Howard to a 2-year, $10 million deal. And you're right, he probably can't carry the entire load for Miami's offense. But if you pair him with a first or second round running back, such as DeAndre Swift or Jonathan Taylor or J.K. Dobbins, that's a great 1-2 punch for a young quarterback who you're going to draft. Give me Miami for my free agency winner in the AFC East. Switching over to the AFC North, I want to give credit to the Browns. They did sign Austin Hooper, even though it was a little expensive. They got Jack Conklin to help beef up that O-line to protect Baker Mayfield. A round of applause to the Steelers for keeping Bud Dupree under contract, not letting him test that free agency market. They also signed Eric Ebron. But the real winners of the AFC North is the Baltimore Ravens. And with Baltimore, I've found that their front office had one thing in mind, and that was to beef up that defensive line. They started off by placing the franchise tag on Matthew Judon, who finished with 9.5 sacks last year. He got his first Pro Bowl nod. He's an excellent young player. But what really stood out to me and other NFL fans around the world was when they traded that 5th-round pick to Jacksonville for Calais Campbell. We all saw what happened last January to the Ravens. Derrick Henry ran all over them. Calais Campbell is an absolute force, not only as a pass rusher, but in the run game as well. I mean, props to Harbaugh in that front office because they just made a great team elite. And if I'm Baker Mayfield or Joe Burrow or one of those young quarterbacks in that division, I am not happy with what I'm seeing. Let's head on over to the AFC South now, where I think we know damn well that the Houston Texans will not be the team I select for the biggest winner in that division. How you trade DeAndre Hopkins, who is one of the best, if not the best, wide receiver in the game right now, for a 2nd-round pick and a washed-up running back? I mean, if this was 2015, sure. But, Bill O'Brien, what the hell are you thinking? I can't really give the Jaguars my award for this division because I'm still sort of seeing what exactly they're doing. I don't know if they're rebuilding because I thought they were, but then they signed Tyler Eifert, so I don't know what exactly Doug Marone's plan is. I like what the Titans are doing, but they did trade away Jarrell Casey. I get it. It was a salary cap issue. We'll see if they sign Jadeveon Clowney, get a long-term deal worked out with Derrick Henry. So I'm going to give it to the Colts. And there's a few reasons why. For starters, I'm a huge Frank Reich fan. I think he had a lot more to do with that Super Bowl back in 2017 with the Eagles than people think he did. And I love what he has done since he has been with Indianapolis. We all know they signed Phillip Rivers. Whether you're a fan of it or not, I get it. He's 38 years old. He may not have that much left in the tank, but I think he at least has one decent season left. But what I loved what Indianapolis did was when they traded for DeForest Buckner. Now, I get it. It was a first-round pick, but San Francisco had a choice. Eric Armstead or DeForest Buckner. And I do believe that the Colts did get the better player of the two. Buckner, he's been more consistent than Armstead. 63 games, 263 tackles, including 28 and a half sacks. I can get that consistent pressure and high level of play from Buckner, where when I watch Armstead, he's a little bit hit or miss for me. Now, this isn't saying I liked all of the Colts' moves this free agency because I didn't understand when they released cornerback Pierre Desir. He's 29 years old. I get he had a little bit of a down year last year. He was ranked 73rd per PFF. Take that for what you will. But, I mean, he started in 12 games last year, 3 interceptions, 11 pass deflected. Like, he was 1 year into a 3-year, $22 million deal. And if his play wasn't sufficient, I understand. But how are you going to release a young quarterback who had a nice year and then sign a washed-up Xavier Rhodes? So all in all, it wasn't the best free agency period that I've seen throughout the NFL, but it was the best in the AFC South. So give me the Colts for that division. Moving on to the West as our last division in the AFC, this was probably the most difficult division to pick a free agency winner. Looking at Los Angeles, they had some great signings. They added Chris Harris, Brian Beluga, Linval Joseph, Trey Turner in a trade. But who really impressed me, which came as a shock to me because I'm personally not a big fan of him, was John Elway and the Denver Broncos. And they started off the free agency period by acquiring cornerback A.J. Boye from the Jaguars. They also traded with another AFC South team, the Tennessee Titans, and acquired Jarrell Casey for, I believe, only a 7th-round pick. I get his cap hit is a little high. I love the signing by Melvin Gordon. It wasn't really a need due to the fact that they have Philip Lindsay, but it's more of a luxury now. You have a great 1-2 punch that's going to help out Drew Lock tremendously. But what I loved and what gave them the advantage over Los Angeles, who I had as my number 2 spot in the AFC West, was the signing of offensive lineman Graham Glasgow. And if you're an average NFL fan, you may not know who this is, and that's okay. But with Glasgow, he's one of the most versatile offensive linemen in the game. If Elway and Fangio need him to play center, he can do it. If they need him to play guard, he can do it. And not only can he do it, but he can play both those positions at a high level. He's very consistent. He's very disciplined. And what I mean by that is there's rarely times you see Glasgow getting called for a holding call or illegal hands to the face, because there's nothing more frustrating than ripping off a big play and then looking back and seeing yellow laundry all over the field. He's allowed 1 sack in 2 seasons. He's going to be a great pickup for a young quarterback such as Drew Lock. I'm not used to saying this, but I mean, props to John Elway, because he's finally making moves that will point Denver in the right direction, not only for next season, but for years to come. So there we have it. The AFC winners, Miami, Baltimore, Indianapolis, and Denver. I think if I had to pick one of the 4 teams to win the entire conference, I'd roll with Baltimore, but just barely over Miami. The Calais Campbell edition, and I haven't even touched on Derek Wolfe. to that defensive line is just going to be night and day from last year. Like I said earlier, the franchise tag on Matthew Judon, I have full confidence that they will get a long-term deal worked out. They re-signed Jimmy Smith. I know they lost Hayden Hurst. They traded him away for a second-round pick. They also lost Tony Jefferson and Brandon Carr, but I just think that the positives that they encountered during free agency highly, highly, highly outweigh the negatives. Give me Baltimore for the entire AFC.